My name is Joan Marston Korte, and I was born in Flushing, New York in 1938. I married an Air Force man. I was a first lieutenant in the United States Air Force Nurse Corps, and that's where I met my husband at MacDill Air Force Base. And we got married in 1963, and of course I left the Air Force so I could have children. In those days you couldn't have children and still be in the service. When he retired in 1972, we retired to San Antonio, Texas. He had been stationed at Kelly Air Force Base as a test pilot, and we both wanted to come back here and raise our family. I love the city. I love San Antonio. It was like a one-horse town in those days, at least downtown it was, because things had closed up and everybody seemed to have moved to the suburbs, and things were a lot quieter downtown. But it was charming. It was nice. It wasn't that helter-skelter, people all over the place. It was relaxing. The river walk was wonderful, and it was so nice to stroll down there in the evenings, and the restaurants were open because the tourists still came into the downtown, but we didn't have the residents that we have now, and it wasn't as busy as it is now. My children left home, and my husband and I became couch potatoes in suburbia, and I said, we can't live this way. We need to go somewhere where we can have a second chance. And so we used to come downtown to get our license plates. We had personalized license plates, so once a year we would go downtown. And I said, remember how much we enjoyed being down there? Let's check it out and see if there's something available and maybe move down there. And he was all for that. So we did, and luckily the Majestic Towers was just opening at the time. It was an office building, and it had been converted to apartments. And so we were the second tenants to move into that building. That was back in the early 90s. It was a new organization because there weren't that many people living in the downtown. And I met a girl that was the president, Linda Winchester, and we got to be good friends. And I joined the Downtown Residents Association, and we built it up to be a substantial organization. I was president. Well, I started out as treasurer and then secretary, and then I was president for about 10 years. And since I loved downtown, it was my honor and my pleasure to do the good things for downtown and the people who lived here. I wanted to improve the quality of life for everybody that resided in the town, and I was able to accomplish that. Back then it was very quiet, and it was a nice quiet town, and then people began to inquire about how to live downtown and where to live, and the businessmen started to buy up some of the old buildings and renovate them into apartments. And after a while, we started getting some new buildings downtown, and people that came down loved it, and it just progressed from there. It became a blossoming town, and right now it's very busy, it's very crowded, it's still very lovely, and it's a special place. The River Walk is the jewel of downtown, absolutely. It not only brings the tourist to the downtown, but it is wonderful for the residents. We don't have to take a taxi on the street to get to places. We can hop on a river taxi, and we can go to different restaurants and different hotels and different meetings and things, and it's makes the place so much more beautiful than a city without one. It seems like it was always easy to attract visitors, especially with the Riverwalk. Once people saw that, they wanted to come down and experience it. The restaurants are wonderful. I was on a lot of city boards as president of the downtown residents, and the one problem I had was getting from meeting to meeting, and because of parking was lacking. So my husband bought me a Segway, and here I am in my late 70s going to meetings and on my Segway. I was known as the old lady on a Segway, and it was a lot of fun. And what's lacking downtown, I would say, is transportation. We need to get the cars out of the downtown, and I've often suggested maybe having parking lots surrounding the city, and so people could park and then take a conveyance into the city proper, because parking is difficult and automobile congestion is getting serious. I tried to make it better for the people who live downtown. We went to different restaurants and held our meetings at some of the restaurants so that we could bring them business, and we used to hold meetings at some of the hotels, and that way everybody in the organization got to visit the amenities that we have downtown and utilize them. I try to improve parking, try to improve sidewalks. Along with the councilman, Roger Flores, I was able to get some new rules passed as far as panhandling is concerned, and passing waste in the parks, which was a problem, and getting Haven for Hope built for the homeless so that they would have a place to stay. They were talking about rails at the time, and that kind of, as far as the residents were concerned, kind of limited transportation. But of course the developers liked it because they wanted to develop along the rails, and that would make it very convenient for them. But we felt that rubber tires were better, because that way we could change the routes when it was necessary, and not dig up the streets to put rails in there. I definitely think peripheral parking is a necessity for downtown. There are a lot of suburbanites that would love to come down, but we hear it so often that there's no place to park, and so they don't utilize their downtown. If we had a place for them to park, as well as our visitors and our tourists, and then be able to take some type of conveyance, whether it be a bus or a trolley or something of that nature, and open up the downtown to those conveyances, we'd be able to get a lot of people, give a lot of people transportation so that they could get to where they want to go. I needed something to keep me young. I needed something to keep me going, and working for the Downtown Residents Association was certainly the way to go, because that way I could attend council meetings. I could put in my thoughts about how I thought things should be taken care of, and my object was always to make San Antonio a better city, not only for the tourists, but for those living downtown. Quality of life is a very important thing, and that's what we wanted to do, is improve the quality of life for the downtown residents. Well, I'm friendly. I have a good sense of humor, and I love downtown, and I think that shows. I glow when I'm downtown. I enjoy everything about it, and I'm very proud of it. I had the opportunity to write a book. Acadia Publishing Company contacted the Downtown Residents Association, and I thought it might be a good idea for our association to get together and write the book. But I didn't get too many people that thought that was a good idea, so I decided to take it on myself. And along with my co-author, David Pache, who helped a lot with photographs and input, we were able to get the book together and get photographs of what it was like to live downtown in the old days. And it was a labor of love, and I was very proud of it. They're going to learn about our history. They're going to learn about the buildings that are now still standing thanks to the Conservation Society. And they'll be able to learn what they were used for, who built them, and the ancestry of San Antonio. It's not just a one-horse town anymore that was just slapped together. It was a very special place for people, and has a very eclectic citizenship with the Mexican Americans and the Anglos, and we get along beautifully, and we appreciate each other's heritage. I love the people, I love the weather, I love the river walk, I love being a Texan. I'm proud to be a Texan.